getting rid of contrast is not necessary, not possible, not necessary in order for you to live a glorious experience. In fact, you said, the more contrast, the better, because out of the contrast will be born my determined desire. Out of the contrast, I'll get really clear about what I want, and then my only work, you said this, we remember it, we're here to hold you to it. Then my only work will be for me to align to my own desire. That's all. You just have to decide what you want and then achieve vibrational harmony with what you want. But you cannot decide what you want and then look at the reasons for your decision and be a vibrational match to what you want. In other words, you can't look back at that justifying stuff and be a vibrational match to your new desire at the same time. Being a vibrational match to your new desire always means feeling good. It never means justifying why you want it. It never means fretting about how you will get it. It never means trying to convince others that you were right in wanting it. It just means softly, sweetly, gently, purely achieving vibrational harmony with your own desire, which means think about what you want and feel good while you're thinking about it. The thing that's a little bit tricky for so many of you is that when you think about what you want, it may remind you of the opposite. When you think about wanting more money, it may remind you that there isn't enough right now. Or when you think about perfect physical wellness, it may remind you that there are some things that you would like to be different. And so what helps in that is recognizing that every subject has a broad vibrational range. In other words, there is wellness or there is lack of wellness. It is all the same subject, but it has quite a vibrational range. And when you want wellness and you're thinking about wellness, now the vibration within you feels like what you would call positive emotion. But when you want wellness and you're thinking about illness, the vibration within you lets you know that you're thinking about illness because it does not feel so good. Your emotions are your key. Your emotions are your indicator before manifestation of how you're vibrating. Your manifestation is your indicator of how you're vibrating. But sometimes it's nice to know how you're vibrating before it manifests, because it's much easier to shift a vibration to something more pleasing before there is a manifestation that then has your attention than afterward. But in any count, it really does not make any difference. In other words, you could very well hold yourself in vibrational harmony with something not wanted and not know you're doing it, because after all, sometimes some of that negative emotion feels pretty normal. Esther will say, as she's in the middle of making a negative statement about something, even though she knows she's there, she can tell, she's wise enough, she's been listening to us long enough, she knows that negative emotion is an indicator of holding a vibration that doesn't match one of her desires. And sometimes, even today, after all of these years of knowing this, she will say, but it's true. As if there is something valuable about speaking truths, even though they hold you in vibrational disharmony with who you really are and what you really want. And so sometimes, as you begin to pay attention to the way you feel, you have a little battle going on with yourself about telling the truth, as you've been encouraged to do from all of those who have been scrutinizing your behavior for so long. Tell it like it is, tell the truth, or tell it like you want to be, which is right now maybe a falsehood. It's a falsehood or a different vibration than what is, but is it a falsehood of who you really are and where you really want to be? And so, if you could go forward from this day, and when someone says to you, or you hear yourself saying to someone else, or you hear it somewhere apart from your own personal experience, you hear someone say, I want you to tell me the truth. Look them squarely in the eyes and say, which one? The truth of how it has been, the truth of how it is being, or the truth of how it is becoming? Because it's a variable there. I could tell you how hard it's been, in which case I'll begin to mess up now and future. Or I can tell you how hard it is, in which case I'll just hold myself here longer and longer. Or I can tell you the truth of what I desire, the truth of who I really am, the truth of where I'm going, the truth of my dream. Someone gave Jerry and Esther a book a while back, and it was a book talking about a lot of different things, but in this particular passage, it was talking about the founders of this nation and how they had set forth ideas, guidelines, that even to this day are ideas that you are reaching for. And it was so soothing to Esther as she heard it, because she said, I thought that the founders of our nation found perfect government and achieved it. And then it's been eroding ever since. And once those wise ones who wrote it all down died, that the next ones have been less wise, and the next one's less wise, and the next one's less wise. And so here we are, so far from where we started out. And this book pointed out what we just said to you, that it was a dream or a goal that you are continuing to reach toward. And that's what your vision of your future experience is. It's a truthful, factual, not yet evidential dream of that which is in the process of becoming. And as you are thrilled at the idea of it, you're on the track of it. But if you are frustrated or angry about where you stand in difference of it, then you're holding yourself apart from it for at least that much longer, as long as the negative emotion remains within you. You are extensions of pure positive energy. You are God force embodied in these physical bodies. You are leading edge creators here to take thought beyond that which it has been before. We see this forum as the perfect place and space for taking thought beyond that which it has been before. And so here we are together, physical and non-physical perspective, benefiting by the leading edge environment in which you stand, benefiting from the broader non-physical environment in which we stand, knowing all laws of the universe, knowing that well-being abounds, knowing the details of that which you live. It is our promise to you that it does not get any better than this. There are 3 steps to the process. We're going to speak the obvious, and we're going to keep speaking the obvious, because sometimes the obvious is not as obvious as it may seem. 3 steps to the process. The first step is the asking. Your life experience causes you to do that constantly, whether you verbalize it or not. You are radiating, oozing, emanating desire all over the place. Second step is not your work. Second step is source energy responding to the vibration of your desire. And the third step, which is really what this gathering is about, this is where your emphasis must be. It is where the emphasis would be if we were standing in your physical shoes. The third step is, I in my human form must now find myself in vibrational harmony with step 1. I must be a vibrational match to what I'm asking for. And when I am, law of attraction will put me and what I'm asking for in the same place. Sometimes it helps to call it the receiving mode, like your radio. You must set your dial to the same signal as the transmitter, otherwise there's not a connection. Your satellite dish must be locked on to the signal of the satellite, otherwise there is not a picture or sound coming across your television. And you are the same way. You must be locked on to the signal of your desire. You must be in the receiving mode of what you're asking for, otherwise you're not letting it in. And so this gathering is about letting it in. Now, the reason that we were giving that to you again, even though we know you've heard it over and over again, is because sometimes when you're sitting in the chair and you're asking the question, which means you're in step 1, you will not be in the place that you can really hear the answer. There's no point in just giving answers verbally to the things you're asking for. Until you get into the receiving mode, you don't get it. And so sometimes we choose from among you spokesmen, who can articulate clearly what you all and beyond this room are wanting to know. And then together we chew on it until we feel a vibrational coming into alignment. Often you feel it too. So, we are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you.
Sometimes in a state of extreme well-being, the 17 seconds really isn't 17 seconds. It's seems like it's almost instantaneous in a state of extreme well-being.
The more in vibrational sync you are with who you really are, then the more you are allowing only those things that you're wanting, and the less resistance there is. And when there is no resistance, the less resistance there is, then the less delay between the idea of the thought and the receiving of it. This time delay is always about the bringing into alignment the belief that you're holding and the desire. And when the desire that you hold and the belief that you hold are one and the same, then there is that instantaneous thing. So what you're talking about here is reaching this place where your beliefs, expectations, moment-to-moment thoughts are so in alignment with your desires that there is no separation between them, which means that the universe is just yielding to you one good thing after another with seemingly no time delay. The time delay all took place earlier in your life while you were getting in vibrational sync with your own well-being, you see.
One of the things that I noticed was that the response was not only instantaneous, but that it didn't seem like what I'm currently calling desire in my waking conscious state was what I would call then just an intention.
Well, even more than intention, attention. In other words, as you were giving your attention to the ornery one, you were there. As you were giving your attention to the playful one, you were there. Let's say that you are turning your attention towards something unwanted. In the same way that there is not instant unwanted thing manifesting in your experience, there is not instant wanted thing happening in your experience. That vibration has to become the familiar vibration. So you could not easily go from where you are to negative creating.
That's right.
There would not be instantaneous going there either. In other words, it takes some adapting to those vibrations, you see. And so what this 17-second is just the intermittent or the interval. It is the interval focus. If you manage to hold anything, wanted or unwanted, for 17 seconds, there is a coalescing of thought that takes you a little closer to the vibration of whatever you are turning your attention to than you were before. Those increments, those 17-second increments, are not discernible. And that's why it feels like when you get into that place, it feels like instant manifestation. Just like when you get into that negative place, it feels like instant manifestation. It's like, where did that come from? It seemed like it just sort of snuck up on me. We said it snuck up over a long time.
It felt like I exist in a place that either time didn't exist or it wasn't important. It was only what I was giving my attention to and the joy in that particular moment.
Well, remember that what you were experiencing in that dream state is broader perspective. In other words, broader perspective does not acknowledge time. And also it's worth mentioning that 17 seconds is really a very short period of time. And if you are at the place where, in other words, if you're already on that edge of good things happening, you would not notice the increment of time. Because, as you said to us, everything's about the way you feel more than it is about the experience. And so when you get to that place where you are feeling good, then wonderful experience after wonderful experience just weaves in and out of that soup that you call your normal day-to-day vibrational offering. As you maintain awareness of your own vibration and work more and more to hold yourself in vibrational harmony with your desire, then law of attraction brings you to rendezvous in the culmination.